So by now, I'm sure you guys have all heard or seen the fight of Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman. Has quite an amazing historical context, and it's really a beautiful story. But I'm not going to get into any of that. You guys can research that for yourselves. I'm just going to get into the final sequence and do a deep dive on like the technical aspects of the strike that finished Kamaru off, because the sequence that allowed it to happen involved so much sophisticated planning and in-game perfect timing, choreography of multiple parts of the body, and utilizing history of his opponent and all this. So many elements to it that it's truly an amazing case study and just a high level move, one of the greatest of all time, truly, not overstated. So just to prime you guys, because it happens so fast, even in 0.25 speed, Leon's going to step in and he's going to throw a feint with his right, which is his jab, because he's a southpaw. Usman's not going to bite on it, but he's going to keep his left hand up, guarding. Then Leon is going to step in again, and he's going to throw a straight left down the pipe that isn't at range to land, but Usman is going to bite on it and parry it. And then on the same side, the left side that Edwards throws this straight down, he's going to throw a kick that comes over Usman's parried hand, right? His exposed temple, and of course knock him out. So let's just watch that slow motion. Right, even in slow motion, it's a lot of elements to see, and it's hard to really see what's going on. Right, so he steps in, he feints, steps again, feints with the long lead straight, and same side, Kamaru bites on it, and he kicks over top of his exposed temple. So we're just gonna, if I can find the right spot, we're just gonna go into deep dive on what's actually occurring here, because it's a really high level move, like I said. So first we have to consult the dynamic of orthodox versus southpaw, right? Because their front legs are straight on, right? They're in what's called like an open stance, like they look like this. The dynamic is different than if it were two orthodox fighters or two southpaw fighters. If that were the case, this would never be able to happen. But because they're like this, Usman, who has this kind of standard orthodox boxing stance, where his right hand is protecting his chin and his left hand is up, right? You see right here. And Leon, his left power kick is on the side of Usman's right hand. He has to find a way to either get Usman to lower his guard, to not see the kick coming, or to otherwise push through and get the strike to land, because he doesn't see it, or he could alternatively come over and redirect over top of the guard. But before any of that happens, he sets up a really beautiful priming motion, right? So he steps in and he throws this feint with his right. The only purpose of this is to get Usman to raise his left hand up and to lower his right hand, which he did. And he did this because he knew the history of Usman and what he likes to do, where he likes to do these kind of adjustments, right? Where he commonly will go like right hand up, left hand down, and switch it, right? And he likes to parry and stuff. So by putting this up, it occupies this left hand. So instead of switching like he might have done with his guard, Usman keeps his left up and his right comes down, which obviously then puts a path for the kick, right? After that, steps in again, and you see he takes multiple steps. He's already throwing the kick at this point. His hips are starting to turn over, and his leg is coming up. However, it's disguised because of all the steps he's taken. The motion of his hips turning over to throw this kick look the same as him stepping forward. So Usman doesn't know that the kick is coming. And this plays into why Usman bit on this feint, because obviously you see fully extended, it's not at range. This is about what, like 6 inches of distance, which is quite substantial. Maybe not for these black guys, but for me, that's a lot of distance. And I know that Usman is good at distance management. So you'd expect him not to bite on a strike that was so out of range. But because Edwards steps in with like 3 steps that are shuffling, Usman can't be sure that he's not going to take one big step that penetrates enough to where this can now hit the target and punch him in the face, right? Of course, Usman could have slipped, he could have stepped back, but because of the history that Edwards knows of him, he knows he's likely to parry and clear his guard, which is exactly what happened. So he threw this up there in the most perfect way while stepping and disguising the motion of his hips to turn over to throw this kick, right? All of this, all done in real time and from the history that he knows of Usman and their fight, their prior fight, the film study, and holy shit, what the fuck is this bullshit? And what was actually happening in the fight, right? You also see that Usman at this point, when the kick is now like really there, like starting to be extended, there's no way that he would miss it. He misses it because his eyes, look, they're like down here, like almost like you can't really represent this 3 dimensionally, but they're like towards like Herb Dean, but like below like his where Herb Dean's like legs would be, right? You can see like they're kind of like off like that, right? So he's off kilter. He can't see this, right? And the reason why Edwards could bank on this was because what Kamaru does a lot is when he does these shifts and changes, he puts his shoulder out, right? Which is something that boxers often do, but it's dangerous in MMA. You do it in boxing, you put your shoulder out, right, to prevent like certain shots or to make them come off or to block like the opposite shoulder or whatever, or you do it when you're changing angles. But in MMA, it's dangerous for this very reason because now this can come up and you cannot see it coming, so you can't react to it, right? So all of these things went into creating this perfect knockout. And from this angle, you can't see much, but Usman's forearm actually does block this kick slightly, but it's not enough to prevent it from knocking out. And it just absolutely, like his head just boom, and he's out cold. And you see that the placement is perfectly down, like on the other side of his face. That's both like his chin and his temple, right? It's like all of this area, like, but like behind his obviously on the other side of his head, which is like the perfect place to land a kick. Just one other thing to add is that if that didn't happen, he still could have landed the kick because let's say that Usman doesn't bite on this like he doesn't parry it. If his hand is still just in this area because he like doesn't parry, he doesn't react to the feint straight. Leon can still kick by either coming over and then redirecting, right? Difficult to do in real time, not impossible. Or he could just punch through and it would have the effect of kind of pushing on the forearm and then maybe hitting him. Maybe not full power, but still probably enough to do some serious damage. Because if Usman wasn't blocking this, right, like he didn't go to block the straight left, he would have more of a loose arm because it wouldn't be like stiffened, right, to block. So it would be looser, so it'd be easier to jam it back, right? So Edwards gave himself like 3 ways to land this kick, either like up and over, through, or the one that actually happened where Usman cleared his guard and then he just came up in this exposed area. So just a beautiful, brilliant strike overall, resulting in a knockout. And that's all she wrote. And congratulations to Leon Edwards. Hopefully Usman is okay. A concussion is no joke, and he was out, man. He was twitching and shit. It's scary stuff. But hopefully he comes back and we see a rematch. And congratulations to Leon. Truly a Cinderella story. If you don't know the backstory, look it up. Like this is quite historical. This is our era's version of like Ali versus Foreman or Frazier. It truly is that much of of a story. It's a Rocky story. Yeah. See, there you can see he's bracing, but he's not bracing because he sees the kick. He's just bracing because he parried, at least in my opinion. I don't think he saw the kick coming. And I don't think we'll ever know because he got knocked out. I doubt he remembers the fraction of a second prior to that. I doubt he even remembers his own name at this point. So, yeah, just a brilliant setup and brilliant execution